Morning, morning, morning. Morning, Roxanne. Yes, I am seeing this emoji, Roxanne. And so I don't know what went on with the brooms. Morning, Donna. Blessed day to you too, Pauline Buckmeyer. Rude Trude. Morning. Morning, Rockman. Lynette Harris. Morning, J Dimple 66. Morning to you, Angela Madu. Denise Coggins. Morning, morning. Small on Facebook. Shalana Carter. Morning. Morning, Diane. John Edwards. Morning to you. Denise Coggins, morning. Lisa Atwater, morning. Gabriel Flip, morning. Merle Durant, morning to you. Yes, I will take that too, Roxanne. Morning, Carol. No rain on my side, Carol. I don't know what it's looking like by you. Alison Boyce, morning. Deep here, morning. Claire Carrington, morning, Claire. And Blacati, morning. Pleasant day to you as well. No, I did not. I did not fete last night, Angela, but I am very tired. Yes, I did not. I didn't go to the Red Fete. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, First Lady Marcia Keegan. Morning to you guys. Jenny Joseph, morning. Marjorie Johnson. The Red Fete, well attended based on the videos and pictures that I have seen so far. I expected nothing less. But I wait to see the commentary from the haters who are always all up in P&M business and studying Balize House and where the money come from to build Balize House, but they wouldn't. These things they conveniently forget, right? So I'm sure the same way they saw the pictures of Balize House circulating on social media. When they wake up this morning, they will see the videos of Red Fete. So they will know how to throw a fete. Well, I think, given the fact that Carnival is less than a week away, I don't think they have enough fete. Right? So no choker fete, no dollar fete, as they used to have in the past to raise funds, and nobody knows where those funds went. Yeah. So draw that to their attention now. Especially those two on the evening on that station. I heard at least one of them yesterday begging for, you want VVIP tickets. You don't want VIP tickets and he doesn't want general tickets. You want Juliet to get him VVIP tickets so he could be rubbing shoulders with the who's who. I heard Kingsley say that he wasn't going to be attending the Monday Night Forum last night because he got 2 tickets to the P&M Red Fete and he will be whining low in government campus. Hypocrisy at its best. But those two in the afternoon, they would have to be special types of hypocrites to have gone to the P&M Red Fete, but then you come in every evening and have nothing good to say about the P&M. Joining in the conspiracy theories about Balize House. Always maligning the government. Total lack of understanding. Ignorance as to the workings of the government, but come in every evening to bash. And then all they want to go to the P&M Red Fete. Well, they have no shame. As I always say, that party has no shame. The dogs in that party suffering from malnutrition, right? Because there's no shame to eat. None. An embarrassment. But they're talking about Balize House and Balize House. You should have come now and take notes as to how to throw a successful fete. Yeah. So when in a couple of months they see work restarts on the companion building to Balize House, and decided to talk the nonsense again about where the money coming from. Just screenshot some of the pictures, save it, and send it to them. Next time they ask that foolishness. Bunch of hypocrites. So last night they had a week. They had their week in Carol say yellow fete. They have it a yellow fete, Carol? Jennifer Dossett, morning, Marjorie Pavel, morning to you, Ruth Franton, Cynthia James, Adriana, Alexis, Teleka Bonto. See, and Marie Billy, morning to you. Yeah, so they had what was akin to a week last night in Barrett's area. A far cry from the PNM's meeting in the very same constituency just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, their meeting was a little more sedate. It wasn't as well attended. Of course, they had to make the claim that the PNM meeting, that the persons were busting and they bring in people in maxis and all of that. But listen to the leader last night talking about the crime symposium that they have in. And you see, and this how is, right? So you had a big crime symposium in San Fernando, and you're boasting how many people were there and all of that and so on, but you could barely muster 150 people at your Monday night forum meeting last night in Barrett's area. In a car park. Yeah, in a car park. But I want to talk about numbers. And here, I see some of our critics are saying that we were bringing in people by the maxi loads to our crime talk meetings. But how else do you expect the people to come? How else do you expect them to come? Not by maxi and bus? Isn't that how people travel? Isn't that how the average citizen travels every day by maxi and bus? So how else do you want them to come? And she totally missed the point. Well, she didn't miss the point. She just pretended, playing smart with foolishness. Because she knows full well what the so-called critics that she's referring to. I know she's referencing UNC Cabal, who posted pictures of the maxis and the buses parked up, waiting to go and pick up people. And also there was a form that had to be filled out by the maxis. The drivers had to fill out these forms so that they could get their money presumably after the deed was done. Yeah, so people have been sending this thing to Cabby, as they call him. And so it was exposed that when they boasting about how many people, and it was bursting at the seams, inside was full, and we were overflowing on the outside too. We didn't have enough room for everybody. Really? And what has come out? What so far? How has the country benefited thus far from the two crime talks that you had? Other than, as Gary Griffith says, it being a forum for people to come and talk about how crime have affected them personally. Jam Sahara does put in my eye real bad by cheese on ages. Yeah. Other than, how else has the country benefited? Have you come up with any new strategies to fight crime coming out of these two well-attended, overflowing crime talks? Other than to hear Johnny Abraham come and talk the government, and you bring some people, one man, you brought in the last doctor to say a few words, and the Hunters Association, or what would this call them, disowned him. Say he's now on our way. Right. So we just wanted to know, we disassociate ourselves from that man, even though he's coming to represent as if he's part of us. Leave it up to them to find the charlatans to come and talk on the platform. But in the wake last night, a couple of speakers, I need to address some of the things that they said. Right? As is the norm. I didn't get to listen to the whole thing because, to be honest with you, I really didn't have time. No better things to do with my time than to. But for the sake of this program, I kind of listened. So maybe if I have time today, maybe I might go back and listen to. I probably won't. So let me know. Let me not say I will. Maybe the leader of the opposition. I only got a snippet of what she said. And the little bit that I heard was enough to make me want to gag. But anyway, Saddam Hussein, the member of parliament for Barataria Sangwan, or as his leader calls it, Barataria Saria. It seems that's the only opportunity you get to talk when they come into his constituency. And so it seems they found a platform issue. Crime, and more crime. All they're talking is crime and crime and crime. Speaker after speaker, crime and crime and crime. As if murder is the only crime there is in the country. So we will look everything and everybody will focus. Yes, crime is the number one issue in the country. But they wouldn't look at the other. When they were in office between 2010 to 2015, every week we get in a press conference. So I remember that. For them to come and tell us about how major crimes are down and rapes are down and robberies are down and this is down and whatever. Every week we used to be getting those statistics. So even when they couldn't battle the murder side of it, they come to say, well, yeah, what now? Everything else is going down? No. You just need to get a handle on murder. So what we did, we call up a state of emergency and lock up over 8,000 African youths. So lock them up and we'll find the evidence later. Not considering the financial toll that would take on the country's coffers. Years later, when some of these guys decided to sue the state for wrongful arrest, but they don't ever talk about that part. The man who today still wants to be the commissioner of police, who, when he was commissioner of police, told us that the only time the anti-gang legislation was ever abused, his words, was in 2011 under the state of emergency when it was used to lock up men wrongfully. Yeah? He tell us that. Today he's singing a different tune. So I listened to Saddam Hussein last night. And he thought he had what we would call an aha moment. So, it amazes me, right? How the ability to go and dig up and, as I keep telling you all, get information on all kind of things to suit their purpose. So he was able to get, I don't know if they file a freedom of information request on the police service or what have you, to get information with respect to consultancy fees that have been paid by the police service since Ella Christopher became commissioner of police, where she has been consulting with and retaining the services of Joanne Archie, former, I can't remember what rank she would have retired at, but I believe she is the head of the police, the corporate communications department or something like that. Yeah, because that was how she was the spokesperson for the TTPS when she was still in active service. So apparently, Commissioner Christopher has been utilizing the services or consulting with Joanne Archie, Stephen Williams, and other persons, and so on. So they got some information, most likely through freedom of information, wasting police time, wasting the time of public servants, because it seems like every day they file a freedom of information request for something. So he listed out how much money was paid to Joanne Archie monthly for the last year or so, how much money was paid to Stephen Williams for what services. And then he mentions a company called Odyssey Consulting, whatever. So he decided to go into the company's registry to see who are the beneficial owners and the shareholders of this company called Odyssey. And then he says, and he discovered that one Russell Huggins is one of the owners or the principals of Odyssey Consulting. And so he decided to go and do some further investigation to find out who Russell Huggins is. And then he says, and you all know who Russell Huggins is? Russell Huggins was a former PNM minister. And that was supposed to send the crowd up into an uproar. What? Nah, man. He didn't really get that response. But you see, again, I keep telling you all, the future of the UNC is just as bad as the present. And Saddam is a leading figure in the present and hopes to be a leading figure in the future. He is part of the future leadership of the party when Kamala finally decides or accepts the fact that she just doesn't have it anymore. Her political currency is worth less than the Bolivares, and she moves on whenever that is. And Munilal too, perhaps we may be fortunate that hopefully someday maybe we could see him in silver bracelets. But the rest of them, when they have gone and he has those hopes of being the next Attorney General, if God forbid, you all fail to do what you're supposed to do in 2025 and let him get back into office. But I want to remind Saddam. Well, I don't need to remind him because I'm certain when he went to do his research to find out who Russell Huggins is, he would have also come across the fact that Russell Huggins wasn't just a former PNM minister. Yes, he was Minister of National Security in Mr. Manning's first administration between 91 to 95. But it seems that is all Saddam saw, or that's all he would have you believe. And it is there's no mere coincidence that he only sought to raise that when he had 51 seconds left in his speaking time. So he couldn't go further to elaborate, right? So he could say, well, he didn't reach that part. But for those of you, particularly the members of the UNC who are listening, maybe you all didn't know, the waterfront ilk, because you're all clueless as I don't know what. But anyway, I digress. Russell Huggins and Brian Quaitong were two former ministers under Mr. Manning's first administration. And when the PNM lost office in 1995, thanks to an amalgamation between Pandey and Mr. Robinson, and Mr. Huggins and Mr. Quaitong left the PNM and went and joined the UNC. Lest Saddam should forget that. You see, because according to Mr. Hines, they just give we half the story and then chinks in with the rest. Give us the full story. Don't just say, don't tell the people Russell Huggins was a former PNM minister. Yes, former PNM minister. You should say former PNM too. Because he left the PNM and went to join with the UNC. For the 4 years or so while he was Minister of National Security and a member of the Manning cabinet, he was walking the straight and narrow. He had no issues with the law. But as soon as he left the PNM and went and joined up with the UNC, right, which has a propensity for corruption, Mr. Huggins is one of the persons who's currently before the court on charges related to the Piarco Airport scandal. But Saddam forgot to mention that last night. But he wanted, and again, this is the thing that has upset me with him. You could go and do all this set of research. You could get information as to down to the cent, the last cent that was paid to Joanne Archie and this one and that one. But you conveniently didn't find out that Mr. Huggins was also affiliated with the United National Congress after he left the PNM, after he served as a minister of government in the PNM, went across to the UNC. Right? Walking the straight and narrow with the PNM all the time, and as soon as he reached in the UNC, that was it. End up before the courthouse. Today, he's still before the courts, facing charges. Saddam may talk about that part. So the next time he come to bring up that foolishness, please, Saddam, give us the whole story now. Not everybody in Trinidad and Tobago is of the waterfront ilk. Right? We, the rest of us, our memory sharp, and for those who may not have been around at that time, we know how to use Google. Yeah, we know how to use Yahoo and any other search engine. So we could go and look to see who Russell Huggins is to. And when they type in Russell Huggins' name, the first thing that comes up is not the fact that he is a former PNM minister. The first thing that comes up, right? The first hit is that an article speaking to where he was charged, along with Brian Quaitong and Rene Pierre and the rest of them, Ishkal Baransing and Steve Ferguson and these guys, in the Piarco Airport matter. So take ownership of Russell. Because his last affiliation to a political party wasn't the PNM. It's the party to which you belong, Saddam. The party which you hope to lead someday. So all you take him. He's all your own, right? Claim what is yours. Don't be ashamed. After he left us, we didn't get rid of him. He left the PNM and went across there. And that was the last known political affiliation. So he's all your own. Claim him, Saddam. Miss us with your BS summer, please. Right? So when you figure you had an aha moment, it actually turned out to be like, oh no. Really? Saddam? Come now, man. Better than that. Better than that. So he was one. Speaker number 2. Jolene John. Deputy political leader of that time. Of that party. Hypocrisy, as I always say, knows no bounds. Let's see if I get this here. So, give me 1 second. That's the talking point for today. Yes, let me get this here. So, right, I think that's about it there. So, I don't want to just quote her. I want to play what she said. Let me turn this off here. 1 second. Let me just switch devices here. Switch this. Turn that off. Turn that on. Connect that. Right.
Our people are crying out to see the prime minister and the leader of the opposition sit together. And the people are our boss. You can't sit down and say, solve crime from inside the cabinet. The people are saying, come out here and let's solve crime. Over the weekend, news broke that in St. Kitts and Nevis, a particular entertainer from Trinidad and Tobago was going up there. And they sent out a press release saying a decision was made following a comprehensive security assessment executed in collaboration with relevant local and regional authorities, following consultation with the Chamber of Industry and Commerce and other local stakeholders. The security assessment identified within the artist's work explicit endorsements of violence, promotion of criminal activities, and a consistent glorification of gang life. Now, Trinidad are exporting coffee and cocoa and sugar again. They start to export gang violence. But you know what? A prime minister who is engaged, a head of the police of St. Kitts and Nevis who is engaged, people with backbone, spine, and cojones with resolve. So you are coming here. You are bringing your bad disease from Trinidad here. You go right back home. If Rowley in 2015, 2016 had taken that decision and taken that approach, we would have saved over 4,000 lives. 4,000 people who would have died between 2015 or 2016 when Rowley came into office and now 4,085 lives, presumably, probably could have been saved if he had taken that approach. To say, not here, not today, Satan, get your hands. An average of 6...
That should be the anthem for the mantra of the right-thinking citizens of this country going forward until General Election 2025. Anytime that party come around, not today, Satan, get the heads. Anytime they come by your gate, they have a meeting, anything, not today, Satan, get the heads. So Jolene John is telling us that we are exporting violence, gang violence, right, through Trinidad music. And that if Keith Rowley had banned Trinidad music in 2015, 2016, when he came in, that over 4,000 lives could have been saved. So everybody who got killed in the last 8 years or so was because of Trinidad music. That is her logic. If you had banned Trinidad music in 2016, then the 4,000 plus persons who would have been murdered since then, their lives would have been saved. Because only Trinidad music caused that. It's not because the borders porous, as they've been telling us before. It's not because illegal guns coming in through the porous borders. It's not because illegal guns coming through the legal ports of entry. No. It had nothing to do. It's not because of poverty. It's not because people suffering. No, it's because of Trinidad music. Is why over 4,000 persons have been murdered. But apparently Trinidad music only came on the scene after September 7, 2015. So between 2010 to 2015, it had no Trinidad music in Trinidad. No, it didn't. So they couldn't ban it. It only came into existence after September 7th, 2015, when Keith Rowley was sworn in as Prime Minister, right? On the 9th of September, all of a sudden, Trinidad music sprang up. So they couldn't ban it. It didn't exist. Yeah. So Dr. Rowley is supposed to be listening to the radio. Hey, what song is that, boy? Yeah, driver, turn up the music. Let me hear that. Because apparently that Dr. Rowley listens to that type of music, right? So in 2015, you didn't advocate for him to ban it. 2016, it was there, you didn't advocate. 17, 18, 19, 20, all this time, you know that is what causing the murders. You didn't say, Keith Rowley, you need to ban Trinidad music. You all weren't advocating for that. 2021, 2022, 2023, you weren't advocating to ban Trinidad music because according to Jolene John, that is what is responsible for all the murders that have taken place since they demitted office in 2015. But 2024, all of a sudden, she woke up yesterday morning and had an epiphany. Hey, it's Trinidad music causing all them murders. You see? Look how they ban it in St. Kitts. And they ban One artist, Cayman 6, I think is his name. So they banned him from performing in St. Kitts, and they banned him from performing in Grenada. So they didn't want that kind of music, promotion of violence there, so on. Yeah, so she's saying it's Rowley for Rowley should have banned it. But the same Trinidad music, just a few months ago, political leader who was sitting down in the crowd last night, waiting to talk after her, promoting Trinidad music, yeah, directing people to go on YouTube and listen to the Trinidad music, because Trinidad music is the language of the street now. And that is how the young people are able to articulate and comment on what is happening in the society. They're using Trinidad music. And the Trinidad music artists, when you go on YouTube, they have over 1 million views, while other people have only a few hundred views or a few thousand views. The Trinidad music artists have over 1 million views. Go and see it. Kamla Prasad Bisasa was saying that. But the same music that she was promoting a few months ago, Jolene John wanted to come last night and tell you, that was responsible for the murders for the last 8 years. And Rowley should have banned it. But up to now, her leader, who was promoting it, she has banned it. And she didn't say it last night. You know why? Because she's promoting it. Load up the Matic. Yeah, load up this Matic. Pull it back. Knock it on them. And knock it again. Knock it again. Like Jolene, forget that. She wasn't in the crowd when Kamla said that. Night after night, she kept repeating it. Night after night. Sorry, I don't have the clip. I know Google have it. Maybe I might play it for you again. Right? She said that. Bigging up Trinidad. Telling people, go on YouTube and listen. If you never listened to it before, go and listen to it. They have over 1 million views. The Trinidad artists. More views than some of these other artists on them. She wasn't promoting Calypso. She didn't say go and look at soca. She was telling the Trinidad artists have more views than even the soca artists. She didn't say go and listen to Marshall. Go and listen to these young Calypsonians. She didn't say go and listen to Aaron Duncan. Or listen to Naomi Sinet. Or any of these folks. She didn't say go and listen to Crystal Charles, the legal diva. Or Helon Francis. No, she said go and listen to the same Cayman. She was telling people go and listen to the same Cayman, because you know what? They are articulating what is happening in society. That is how the young people speak about, and that is how they comment on what's happening. But this blasted hypocrite, this hypocrite with this mop on her head, coming last night to talk nonsense about if Rowley had taken the same approach as the Prime Minister of Prime Ministers of Grenada and St. Kitts, that over 4,000 lives could have been saved. Jolene, pick a struggle, man. Please, pick a struggle. What is it? You heard Karina Ashe's song? Poverty is no excuse for crime. Maybe you all should listen to it a few times, right? Because that is what you all advocated. And then you have your minions, Captain Clueless and Professor Misinformation on that radio station every evening, have an issue with Karina Ashe's song. A man called in yesterday to tell them, and he's advocating, he's supporting what Karina Ashe is saying, is that you can't use poverty as an excuse to commit crime, because when you go before the court, you can't say, well, Your Honor, I killed the man because I'm poor. I put on that robbery because I was starving. I didn't have money to buy food. Because you know what the magistrate will tell you? Yeah, you could go and pick up bottles. You could have looked for a job in CPEP. There are so many things that you could have done. You couldn't make something and sell. You couldn't find somebody who have coconuts and tell them, well, here what, you will pick the coconuts and sell it, and you would bring a share of the profits for them when you do it. Sell it right in front of the house. You could have done that. All of these things, no. But let us advocate poverty is an excuse for crime. So I'm poor, I have no money to feed my children, I'm going to go and rob somebody. Yeah, let me kill somebody today. Take what they have. And when that money run out, I'll go and kill somebody again. Or rob somebody again. Right? That's the excuse. Jolene John cannot be serious. And then talking about when they come back into office, they will do this and they will do that. Shameless. Coming to talk about they need mothers, these vulnerable mothers need to know that they need to have, when they're having sex, they need to use a condom, otherwise they will have unwanted pregnancies and so on. Really, Jolene John, you need to go on an education campaign for them to know that. When the government, well, you weren't part of the government, but you were still a part of the administration as the head of HDC, was advocating baby grant, $500 a month to make child. How you feel is make child? So you come in last night to advocate to tell them they mustn't have unprotected sex. Right, so how you expect them to qualify for the baby grant, Julie? Huh? They can't make child if they're using contraceptives. So you come in to tell them, hey, stop that. See this thing, make sure you go down to you go to family planning or whatever and get whatever contraceptives. We need to discourage you all from having unprotected sex. But meanwhile, your leader's still talking about baby grant and how we all helped out the vulnerable mothers and so on. Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle, Julie. If you want to advocate for baby grant, then you cannot be telling people to have to use contraceptives. Because they don't have no baby, and if they have no baby, they can't get no baby grant. But then again, we know all your stuff already. It's all kind of racket and stuff. So people who don't even have child, who can't even make child getting baby grant. Because all you're just crooked like that. But if it is that you want to bring back baby grant, Julie, you can't be talking that message. As responsible as it may be, but you see, all you didn't know that. You didn't know that between 2010 to 2015. Nah, you didn't know that. Between 20, you didn't know about that. You didn't need to promote that, but you come in last night to talk that. Go bad. Wonder how your leader was feeling. Bunch of jokers. Encouraging people to make child so they could get 500. Make our next one. Come and apply. You'll get 500. You make our next one? Come, 500. Right. And that making sense. And then you have Jayanti talking nonsense about if you deny these men bail, you will have single parent homes and single mothers. All you need to sit down and get your story straight. Because clearly you are not singing from the same hymn book. Or if you're singing from the same hymn book, you're not singing the same hymn. So get all your story straight now, please. Before they come with that foolishness. That's a dotish talk. Miss us with that. You saw them when they come back. A few months ago, Munilal in the parliament said they built 6,000 houses when they were in office. She came last night to say they built 8,000. A significant difference, eh? Where are these 8,000 houses, Jillian? Where are these 8,000 houses that you all built? In 2015 general election campaign, no mention of 6,000 houses. No mention of 8,000 houses. All we heard, well, we built 106 schools. Back then it went from 96 to 98 to 102, and they finally settled on 106. So you are telling me that you put more prominence on 106 schools than you did on 8,000 houses. No mention of houses. Building. The only time we say here houses, how much houses coming out of your mouth was in the few months leading up to the election, talking about 100 houses a week, where you all were giving out houses that the Manning administration built, right? And with maligning the Manning administration, saying they built all these houses and they didn't give it out. But you all will give it out. Yeah? That's the only time we hear mention of any house, HTC houses. Or when Munilal come to tell us in trust-free lands, they have how much? 1,200 houses or so ready for occupation. And when the media went, the only thing they found was a load of gravel, a load of red sand, and tobacco, right? On trust-free lands. But it have house there ready for distribution. But you tell us last night, 8,000 houses only built. But yet still, an audit report that started in 2013 by KPMG, one of the big four, I think they're among the big four audit firms, cannot find $789 million worth of HTC housing. So is it those 8,000 houses you're referring to, Julie? The fake houses? The imaginary houses? 789 million. That since October last year was brought to the attention of the public by the current Minister of Housing, Camille Robinson-Regis. And to date, you, Julie John, have said nothing on that. You have not denied it. You have not offered an explanation. You have not sought to give guidance to the state as to where these houses are located. Munilal, who was your line minister, right? To date, he has not sought to defend himself. He has not addressed that issue. He pretended as if it is when Camille Robinson Regis made mention of that in the parliament, like it's all of a sudden his ears got cataract and glaucoma, right? So he didn't hear that because he is often one to jump up one time to defend. He didn't do so in the parliament, and to date he hasn't done so outside of the parliament. Not on his Facebook page. He has not addressed that matter in any way, form, or fashion. And knowing the character that Rudal Munilal is, that he would allow something like that to stand without even attempting to explain it, speaks volumes. Not your leader, your political leader, who made a big issue about fake oil, $100 million in fake oil, and you want the police involved, and you want DPP and audit and all of these different things. $789 million in fake housing under her administration. And she has not seen it fit to address that issue, to bring any kind of explanation to the wider population, right? And to me, that issue has not been, or hasn't gotten the level of attention that it ought to hold it to their feet. So even if they say, well, we didn't hear it, that should be, but you see, that's the fundamental difference between the PNM and UNC, right? The UNC wouldn't let go of AV drilling. About that up to today. Right? That was front and center. They come in a big issue. But Camille Robinson Regis raised that issue, $789 million in fake houses, $180 million loan from NLCB that they have no clue what that was for. And the only time the PNM talk about that probably is the day after and maybe 2 days hence. 9-day wonder. We don't talk about it. Or not we. I keep pounding it. But the vast majority, unlike what would have happened if it was the other way around, oh God, you would not hear the end of that. Every platform, every time they have a meeting, you would hear about that. I think we've had, 2 or 3 meetings since Camille Robinson Regis made that revelation. And it has not been a platform issue. I would have been calling on as I've been doing, calling on them to answer. Say something, anything. But they have nothing to say. Nothing to say. According to but your deputy political leader come in last night to talk rubbish. Look, miss me with that. Eh? And then, of course, the leader herself. Not to be outdone. Yeah, so she comes last night. Well, I didn't listen to the entire thing. But as I said, there were a couple of things she said which stood out for me. The little that I listened to. She came to talk about the fuel matter. Because, they're advocating, give everybody gun as the solution to crime. And that the Prime Minister and the government should sit down with them to come up with solutions. But you have nothing new. After 2 crime talk meetings, you have nothing new to offer. You said these crime talk meetings were supposed to draw from the public ideas, suggestions, solutions on how to treat with crime. But all we've heard is, as Gary Griffith rightly said, how crime affected people personally, who lost family members, who was robbed, who was this, who was that. Bash the government, bash the government, bash the government. But nothing of substance has come out of it, right? Save and except for Johnny Abraham to say that the Minister of National Security, while he can't direct or instruct the police how to operate, what he could do is to have them report to him on a regular basis what they are doing with respect to fighting crime in their respective divisions. Yeah? And how should that be done, Mr. Abraham? How should that be done? They should bypass the commissioner? Or should they pass it to the commissioner, and if she's not pleased, he or she is not pleased with what they see, they dump that and tell them to do it over? Because no commissioner wants to look bad. No commissioner wants to have a report go to the Minister of National Security stating that, coming from a subordinate, stating that the commissioner is doing what they're supposed to do. Right? And they know commissioner don't want to have to answer questions about things that are happening in divisions that they aren't aware of. So how they should do it? Send it straight to the minister or pass it to the commissioner, and then it goes to the minister. And then when the minister gets it, what is he supposed to do? Because we know the minister cannot get involved in the daily operations. So what is he supposed to do? Pick up the phone and call the divisional head? Does that make any sense? But you see on the surface of it, they say, it's something good. Yeah, you have an idea. Really? But she comes last night talking about the FUL. Oh, Rowley say that while Gary Griffith was commissioner, people were paying all kind of $50,000 to get FULs. Where is the evidence? Take it to the police. Why don't take it to the police? And why don't call names? Where you get that information from? Mrs. Basadi says, I don't know if it is that perhaps before you come last night, you might have had one too many to calm your nerves. But there is a report, and in fact, there are several reports, at least two. One of which we know Mr. Griffith has injuncted. So it cannot be published. The Prime Minister cannot lay it in the Parliament. And to the idiots from that party who want to call the radio station and talk nonsense to say that the injunction only applies to the laying of the report in Parliament, but it doesn't injunct the Prime Minister from speaking about it on the outside. The issue about the report is that Gary Griffith has claimed that he was denied an opportunity to respond to the findings of the report. Anything in that report that places any blame on him or makes any allegations about him, that he was not afforded an opportunity to respond to those allegations or findings before the report was completed. That is all. And the court, just as in the case of the live sport report, said here what? We are not commenting on the findings of the report, right? What we, the court, have been invited to do is to adjudicate on the claim by Mr. Griffith, in this instance, that he was denied due process. It's the same thing with the Darrell Smith report. Now, this is what the Prime Minister and what Darrell Smith, in the same way, sought to have the report blocked on the basis that he said the audit committee did not interview him, that he was not given an opportunity to see what the allegations against him were so that he could respond to that. And because of that, you cannot lay a report that says this, this, and this. Because normally, as you know, if a person commits a crime or is alleged to have committed a crime, after the police do the investigation, they would then bring in the person, the accused, and question them and show them, look, this is what we have, this is thing, what you get, and you get to respond to this, you get to address that, as in the case of Ram Logan and Ramdeen when they were charged with the Vincent Nelson matter. After all the investigations were completed, the last thing to do was to bring them on Henry Street and question them. Present to them, this is what we have, look, thing, whoever, okay. Griffith is saying that that wasn't done. So the court never pronounced on the substance of the audit reports. So to listen to Mrs. Pasabi sister say, well, Rowley say $50,000 and up to now nobody hasn't been arrested. Is she living under a rock? Since Gary Griffith admitted office, there were 8 police officers who have been arrested for racket involving firearm users licenses. Among them, senior police officers were arrested for that, for soliciting bribes and so on in respect of fast track firearm users licenses. And she's saying, take it to the police. Madam, it was already taken to the police. The police have investigated it. And persons have been arrested. And investigations continue to, are still ongoing into that matter. Let us not forget that the Police Complaints Authority also launched an investigation into the same firearm users license issue. I don't know what is the status of that investigation, if it's still ongoing, if it was completed, if a report was sent to the DPP. But I want to Gary Griffith to do a... Did the PCA call him in to ask him any questions? Did they send their findings to him for him to give an answer? Or is it that he just have a vendetta against Keith Rowley? Continues to lie and say that the Prime Minister and his government commissioned Stanley John to do an investigation. The Police Service Commission did that, which is the reason why Stanley John now has him before the court. For that, is suing him for making that statement. But you don't ever talk about that lawsuit. He'll come and tell you he has Stanley John in the court and this one in the court. But tell us too that Stanley John also has you in court and is suing you for damage to his reputation for implying he's a government lackey and that he did perhaps may have done something untoward. Falsified a report perhaps because to satisfy his employers, who you claim is the government, but that is not the case. So to hear her now, but then again, you know how it is with her and reports. The Piarco Airport matter, when she had the report from Lindquist and she sat down on it, did absolutely nothing as Attorney General, but only studying how she could fire Lindquist and fire Carl Hudson Phillips so that the investigation would not continue. So I'm not surprised by her comments last night. Then she wanted to come and talk about jobs and how many jobs. And so last night she mentioned there were 3 vacancies in the office of the opposition leader. And she got over 1,000 applications for these 3 jobs. And it's not because people want to come. You feel it's because they want to come and work for Kamla? No. It's because they need work. They want to work. And we have 3 positions. And over 1,000 applications were received for those 3 positions. So you know what? We're going to have to go through it and shortlist, of course. But it's because the people want work. And there's no work and there are no jobs available. All right. Hold that thought. Let me read something. North Central Regional Health Authority. This was posted 16 hours ago. Vacancy, audit assistant. Vacancy, audit supervisor. Vacancy, complex administrator. Vacancy, electrical technician 1. Vacancy, senior radiographer. Vacancy, ultrasonographer. I ain't done it. Right? We're going again. TNTech vacancies 2024. This is where I have it. Right? Yes. She said I don't work. This was I saw posted yesterday. Accountant, vacancies 2024. Administrative assistant 3 in the accounts department. My man thing we're doing with this morning. Not today. Engineering controller, coal power station. I don't know what. This thing really upsetting me this morning. Operator in training, risk management department, security, senior computer operator, information systems administrator. There are about 40-something different vacancies here. This is just 2 entities, right? All over the place that have jobs. But rather than you encourage people to go and see if they could get the skill set to be able to apply for some of these jobs. Some of them are entry level, and when you look at the salary range for some of these TNTech jobs, pretty nice. Yeah? $16,000 plus per month. But they are no job. But 1,000 people come and apply for 3 positions in the office of the opposition leader. But instead of they could do all this research and could send freedom of information requests to every ministry to get information so they could come and malign the government. Maybe you all should use some of that time to find out from every ministry what vacancy they have. Find out from every state enterprise what vacancy they have. Because, you know, as far as they're concerned, only the government should hire people. Yeah? Shortage of jobs is government. Is the government. Private sector, forget that. Only the government. So maybe you all should go and find out. Instead of sending freedom of information requests and wasting people's time to follow freedom of information requests on a certain nonsense, so you could come on a platform and talk about how much money Ula pay Stephen Williams and Joanna Archie and others, right? Find out how many vacancies and what are the vacancies and what are the requirements, and come on your platform and talk that. Since you're so concerned about people who are unemployed and looking for work and need jobs, that is something better to do, right? So you advertise 3 jobs from your office. That's just 1. Go and find out how many other jobs and vacancies that have throughout the public service and come and advertise that. Make yourself useful. Put that up on your page. Instead of this clown every day doing doubles and coffee, coming to talk about nonsense about the government this and the government that. I see you take a turn in Mr. Shaq tail. Because he find all the things Mr. Shaq should have sing about. But he vexed because Shaq do a whole verse on what do you call her again, boy? I can't remember the term he used. Apparently he take offense to that. So he has to jump to the defense of his leader. Because from what I understand, he wanted to talk on the platform last night and they said, nah, not tonight. Not tonight. And crying like a big baby, but you're still hung up in front with your bald head. Anyway, let me not go there. You do something useful. Call a doubles and coffee and list out some of the vacancies now and tell people where they could go. And then send it to those 2 clowns on that station in the evening. Right? Coming to talk a certain nonsense and advocating how people suffering and they have no work and all of that. And the government are doing nothing for poor people and no opportunities. But yet still, just last week, the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service launched the program for 1,000 entrepreneurs by 2025, where you could get a grant of up to $20,000. Direct the people to the ministry website so they could click on the link and apply for the grant so that they could start their business or expand their business. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't use the 3 hours that they have on the airwaves to come and talk about that. To direct young people to the Homestead program, or any of the other 16 or so programs that the Ministry of Youth Development has for them. They wouldn't come and talk about that. They wouldn't get somebody who benefited from MyLat or my part to come on the program and talk and say, yes, it benefited me. No, you know what? Come and continue to perpetuate this stupid talk about how the government is doing nothing for nobody and the poor people and people suffering. And the 100 million is the Mama Guy people. I hear Jillian John come last night to talk that same janjat. Or they're going to take $100 million to spend it on a set of old men to run down 20-year-old boys. How they could do that. But this is the same party that advocating as part of the crime fighting strategies that the government should amend the law to increase the retirement age for defense force officers from 45 to 55. So they're well aware that the average retiree, defense force retiree, still in their 40s, right? Between 45 to 50. Healthier and stronger and more fit than the majority of them in that party, right? Some of these 20-year-olds, they want nothing with some of these guys. And even when they're in their 60s, the gym that I go to, so a guy, this fella has to be a former defense forceman. Because this guy looking like he could be in his 60s. And the kind of things I see this man doing in the gym put me to shame. Half of us in that gym put us to shame, right? I say, nah, he had to have been in the defense force. I just there and I'm amazed at the kind of exercises that this man do. Some of the machines, this man running on the Stairmaster, running, and if you see the speed, then he going on the treadmill, come picking up the 45 kilo plates, and holding this thing over his head, and this man jogging on the spot with, if you see things. But anyway, I digress. So you're coming to tell us, just like Gary Griffith, that when the Prime Minister talk about defense force retirees, he referring to a set of old men who are 300 pounds in the 70s and 80s. Total disrespect and dishonesty. Dishonesty. But we expect nothing different from them. Because that's what they're about. So, is the time now? I want to remind them of something. So the next issue that all of them jumping on now, this bandwagon, is that the Prime Minister traveling all over the place and how much more taxpayers' money he's spending to travel all over the place. Right? That's the joke. Rowley is a jet setter. As soon as he come back, he had an next plane to go somewhere else and the country not reaping any benefits from his trips abroad. What benefit did we get from the $15 million taxpayer dollars trip to India? What benefit did we get? How did we benefit from Mrs. Prasad Bisesa wanting to bend down and kiss foot at a cost of $15 million? All these people that she carried with her, after she caused Caribbean Airlines to have to take a whole jumbo jet out of service, right? So that she and 42 other people could go to India on a plane that could hold 200 plus. So all that empty space on the plane, right? Free to roam. You could cock up your foot, lie down and sleep. $15 million it cost. But in addition to Caribbean Airlines having to take the jumbo jet out of service so that she could use this plane, because she can't travel like Dr. Rowley does, and every time he has traveled, he has never done that. In the almost 9 years that he has been Prime Minister, Keith Rowley has never done what Kamla Prasad Bisesa did on numerous occasions, which was to take a whole jumbo jet, cause Caribbean Airlines to take a whole jumbo jet out of service so that he could use to go wherever and carry a few people with him. Right? So you're carrying a delegation on a mission to look for opportunities. So in addition to Caribbean Airlines having to pay for that plane and all of the revenue that they would have lost because that plane is not available for use for commercial flights, they then had to go now and spend additional monies to wet lease another plane to replace the one that she used to go abroad. $15 million the India trip alone cost us. What did we benefit from that? But they're talking about Rowley flying all over the country, all over the world, and how much money, taxpayers' money. Keith Rowley has, I believe, 2 grandsons. At no point in time in the 8, almost 9 years that he has been Prime Minister, has he ever taken his grandson on a trip with him. He didn't take a whole Caribbean Airlines jumbo jet to go to the World Cup in Brazil and carry his grandson in a Spider-Man suit at taxpayers' expense, right? I think probably since Dr. Rowley has been Prime Minister, maybe once I think Mrs. Rowley traveled with him. Most of the times she doesn't go with him. So, but they're studying, but they want to know how much money Rowley spent and how much money, taxpayers' money he's spending to travel all over the world. But they're studying when she was Prime Minister and Vidwati was joyriding all over the world with her playing nurse. Yeah, because she need help. She need to remember when to take her insulin, and she need help to take her pills, and she need help to put on her dress, and she need help to hook her bra, and all of these things that she couldn't do. The things she's doing now for herself. She no longer has access to the public purse to pay for it. So she could do it for herself when she's older and weaker. But when she was younger and stronger, she needed Vidwati to help her to do that. So every time she fly, Vidwati need to go with her. Which one of Dr. Rowley's family members does he carry with him at state expense? None. They wouldn't talk about that, but wanted to talk about Rowley, how much money Rowley's spending, and he only flying here there and being seen no benefit from it. All of them, speaker after speaker, come up with that foolish talk. Let me see if I get this thing. Where is it? Let me see to play this. So, give me 1 sec, let me find this. Let's the memory short.
Prime Minister said the previous Prime Minister racked up a $6 million bill for over 600 hours of helicopter time. During the budget debate, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley raised concerns about a $500 million NOC contract for Bell helicopters, but also expressed concerns about the usage of the national security helicopters as the former Prime Minister's personal taxi service.
But then something else struck my attention, and that is that we can't be wasteful in a time like this. And I think it is extremely wasteful for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago to fly for 636 hours in helicopters in this country. The record shows that the last Prime Minister occupied helicopter time of 636 hours, 415 missions at a cost of over $6 million.
The Prime Minister said the burden of such a cost should not be on the backs of taxpayers, and he assured that he would not be a frequent flyer on a helicopter. I want
to give the long-suffering people of Trinidad and Tobago the assurance that I will travel on the ground and over water, and I will not be in the air unless it is absolutely essential and necessary.
Since Keith Rowley became Prime Minister, he's traveled in a helicopter once. And that was when, was it by what's now Woodside, then BHP Billiton, took him to one of their platforms, the offshore platforms, and they had to go by helicopter, right? Prime Minister residence, just around the corner from Prime Minister's office. Well, at the time she was Prime Minister, it was just a little lower down. Now the Prime Minister's office is Whitehall, but just a little lower down on Sweetbriar Road there was the Prime Minister's office. Not even a good 5-minute drive to the residence. But instead, no, she didn't want to do that. No, she insists she must live in the Pink Palace. So every evening, you leave the Prime Minister's office and you come round to the Queen's Park Savannah, and the helicopter waiting in the Queen's Park Savannah, and she jump in, right? And then she fly to the Pink Palace. The Pink Palace, which for 10 years, she and Gregory couldn't build. But as soon as she became Prime Minister, it built and it grew. And you added a helipad to it too. Neighbors complaining the noise every evening when the helicopter come to pick up. Neighbors complaining in the morning when the helicopter come to pick up, because you know what? She allergic to traffic. You have outriders and you have police escort, but you couldn't handle that drive when you were older, when you were younger, and stronger. You couldn't handle that drive. But today you're older and weaker, but you could make the drive, but you're complaining. You was complaining the other day. You had to get up 5 o'clock when they had the crime symposium last year. You had to get up for 5 o'clock to make it to the Hyatt for 9 o'clock. Yeah, missing the helicopter. $6 million. How many trips? How many trips has Dr. Rowley taken to add up to $6 million? Every time he travels commercial. Yeah? Business class. I heard Julian say last night first class. So we don't have first class flights from here to wherever. We have business class. First class, totally different. That's how the Prime Minister travels. Yeah? Him and his entourage. That's how he travels. To cost far less. She went to South Africa, whole jumbo jet. China, whole jumbo jet. Australia, jumbo jet. India, jumbo jet. Brazil, jumbo jet. Every time. So her grandson, when they went Brazil, I think was another 40-something people on the plane. That could have hold, I think, 150-something people. So her grandson had free reign to run up and down the plane and like himself. Yeah? If he wanted to sprawl out in one of the rows and play whatever hand game he had, he could have done that. He could have go hopping from seat to seat. Yeah, and he could have gone and sit down on Auntie Vidwati lap. Because that was her nurse. Auntie Vidwati, yeah, taking care of him while she sit down up in front relaxing and having a very good time. The best of time at your taxpayers' money. So when the plane land in Brazil, so if she's in Brazil for a week, the plane in a hangar or wherever it is, for a whole week, it park up there. When it could have, Caribbean Airlines could have been flying that plane back and forth, Miami to Trinidad, New York to Trinidad, making money back and forth. The plane park up. Each destination that she went to, that's what it is. The plane just park up there. And you have to pay for fuel to it. Let's remember that. That ain't cheap. The crew still had to get paid. Yeah? But money being lost on a daily basis because you have a whole jumbo jet just park up somewhere waiting for you. Because apparently you that's Air Force One. Yeah? You have your own private jet like the President of the United States, right? Apparently so. But when Mr. Manning wanted to buy the private jet, you had an issue with that. That you could have benefited from and save Caribbean Airlines some money. You didn't want that. Yeah? Malign Mr. Manning. But then come into office as Prime Minister and did who's no other Prime Minister in Trinidad's history ever did that. And her supporters who today want to bump the gun about how Rowley only flying and how much it cost in taxpayers. When she was doing that, or they sit down there like wooden judges in a Ramboat session and have nothing to say about it. Hush all your mouth today. You all don't have the moral authority to speak about Dr. Rowley's travels. And at least when he travels, we know what he does. Because he comes back and he holds a press conference and he gives a detailed report of who he met with, what they discussed, and how it will benefit the country. How did Benidorm took his foot? She's 15 million taxpayers dollars, so she could go and find her roots. Go back to her ancestral home. Yeah? But Rowley went to find the slave masters who gave him his name. Yeah, he never decided to do that. He didn't say, let me go to England and look for the slave master who gave me the name, my family, the name Rowley. I can't say go to Africa because, there are no slave master name from Africa. Yes, he did go to Ghana, but again, he didn't travel, he didn't take a whole jumbo jet to go to Ghana and fool the population by saying, well, I'm carrying a delegation of businessmen so they could look for opportunities in Ghana. But her supporters want to come and talk nonsense. Miss us with that BS. So was the time there? Brian, I know I said I was going to touch on EMBD today, but I don't know. It's just one other thing. Let me say how the time runs. So, they're hoping Dr. Rowley is having a press conference today at Whitehall, I think this morning. And they are hoping that he would announce that he's firing Fitzgerald Hines and that he would also announce that Ulla Christopher's tenure would not be renewed. I think next month it expires, and they're hoping that he will say the government does not intend to give her a second term. And they find that Hines should be fired because he has no crime plan. But let me read this again for you all, right? The UNC website, dated the 20th of December 2013, Minister Gary Griffith responds to call for crime plans. Contrary to demands for immediate crime plans by critics, Minister of National Security, Senator the Honorable Gary Griffith, says he has no intentions to rush down the tried and failed road that the nation has endured before, which involved cosmetic approaches to reduce crime. Minister Griffith blamed the previous anti-crime failures on an eagerness for fast results, a lack of understanding in basic security structures and management, and the hasty response to social pressure to announce crime plan after crime plan every day. The same thing they call in on Fitzgerald Hines and Keith Rowley to do today. When he was Minister of National Security, he said, I'll have none of it. He equated past crime plans seen in the past to the useless act of putting a plaster on a sore and giving citizens false hope that the state was providing them with security that they rightfully deserve. Minister Griffith made it clear that he has no intention to fool the citizenry and waste public funds on quick-win cosmetic schemes designed to please media critics or a frustrated public demanding immediate results. Let me read that last part again. Minister Griffith made it clear he has no intention to fool the citizenry and waste public funds on quick win cosmetic schemes designed to please media critics or a frustrated public demanding immediate results. A frustrated public demanding immediate results. Frustrated public demanding immediate results. Saying, if all you're looking for crime plan from me, forget that. I don't care if all you're frustrated. But today, singing a different tune. He described his game plan as one that will ensure that a proper foundation is prepared and laid out so that the appropriate anti-crime policies, when fully established, would be on a firm ground and hence reap maximum results. He stated that a proper national security framework and a foundation of proper policies to reduce crime will be delivered. In the meantime, Minister Griffith highlighted several projects that were currently in action that went unmentioned by the critics. He spoke about a heavy increase in law enforcement, more visibility by the rebranded Highway Patrol Unit, revitalization of the National Operations Center, introduction of the scientific technology in the form of a GPS tracking system, re-establishing relationships with Venezuela and Colombia so as to create a collaborative approach to border security, increase in law enforcement and border security, and increase in border security operations, establishing ties with the newly appointed Chief of Police for the New York Police Department, William Bratton. Groundwork for the establishment of the virtual police officer. Groundwork for the establishment of the rapid response unit. And in the face of all of these things, you still had a frustrated public demanding immediate results. So you mean, Gary, all them things you implemented and yet still the public was frustrated with the state of crime? Some of the very same things that you are coming to tell us we should reintroduce? It didn't work under you because the public was still calling for crime plan in the face of all of these things that you said went unmentioned by the media. In addressing the current spike in murders in the country, Minister Griffith stated that his critics fail to understand that the increase is the result of criminal gangs coming under pressure from national security operations and thus violently fighting each other for turf due to reduced opportunities for criminal activity and access to government contracts. Yesterday was yesterday and today is today. So I guess the spike in murders today has nothing to do with, to quote Minister Griffith then, just know, man. Right. Yes, so the spike has nothing to do with, back then, the spike in murders had to do with criminal gangs coming under pressure from national security operations. But today it's not because they're coming under pressure from national security operations. Today they are not violently fighting each other for turf due to reduced opportunities for criminal activity and access to government contracts. No, no, no. Only when they're in office and then they're in power, that happens. Minister Griffith declared that he will continue working to provide avenues to reduce the fear of crime and make Trinidad and Tobago a safer place for law-abiding citizens. That was Gary Griffith in 2013, 11 years ago. But today, singing a different tune. And so all your crime plans didn't work back then, but it can work today. And Gary? Yes. Right. I tell you. You see, I always say it anyway. They figure everybody is of the waterfront till can be chopped. Be chopped. So he has an issue the Prime Minister mentioned when he went on his most recent trip. He would have met with persons from the CIA, the FBI, and whatnot. Mr. Griffith has a problem with that. He says who Dr. Oli should be speaking to is not the CIA and the FBI. He should be speaking to NYPD, the New York Police Department. And also he should be speaking to the Metropolitan Police, I think in the UK or whatever it is. But then you have clowns calling that radio station, one who goes by the name Love in the House, who should really be dumb in the house, dotish in the house, idiot in the house, something like that. Certainly not love in the house. Talking about, oh, Rowley feel all that we out here stupid because he coming and talking about events and he talk with the FBI and the CIA and the who not and the whatnot. And they want to sit down and talk with Cameron. Really? This you know. So Mr. Griffith has an issue with that. Then I talk to the NYPD. Well, you know, one of the things that the NYPD would tell Dr. Rowley if he talks to them, Mr. Griffith, is that The biggest issue they having with crime in New York, in particular murder, is the issue of bail. If you speak to the current commissioner of police and his predecessor, and even the New York mayor, they will tell you the biggest problem they have in New York with respect to fighting crime and dealing with murders, despite the fact that the murder rate has come down significantly, the fact that they are unable to do much more is because of the issue of bail. But these guys, when they are caught, after much work by the police, could simply go to the court and apply for bail, and then they back out on the streets, committing the murders and the other crimes again. That is what they said. Not me say so. The New York mayor said so, the current commissioner said so, and the one before him. When he was on his way out and he was interviewed and asked what was the biggest challenge he has faced as commissioner, he said the biggest problem he faces is the issue of judges granting bail. But the judges need to have the discretion to be able to deny these fellas bail, which is the problem we have here. But we didn't have that problem up until 2 years ago. Because up until 2 years ago, murder was a non-bailable offense for over 105 years. Today, it's a bailable offense. Thanks to who? So when I see Dave Tanku talking a pack of rubbish about over 3,800 murderers out on the street walking among us, and hearing Kamala last night and Jolene talking about, oh, these murderers, how much hundreds and thousands of murderers, whining low in all the fete, and whining low to DNA. How they end up outside? How they end up outside? Jolene talking about 400 and something, and then when you hold them, and then only 50 something of them would come before the courts, and then they end up they languishing in the people at them jail, and they calling hits from inside the prison. Okay, so about those who outside? Jolene, all those who are outside today because thanks to who? Jayanti and Anand. Why don't you talk about that? Tanku, why don't you talk about that? How many other 3,000 of them who working on the outside, you know why they're free to commit murders? It's because of all you. You know why they're not afraid to get caught if they commit a murder? Because they know they will get bail, and within 2-3 days, they're back outside. Thanks to all you. Yes, all you. But all your supporters are not talk about that. And every time you raise that issue with them, they want to pivot and tell everybody Rowley is a pedophile. Miss us with that BS. Deal with the fact that these murderers could get bail because of Jayanti and because of Anand and other UNC lawyers. We only had the best lawyers in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, you all were able to convince the court to overturn a law that was 105 years old. Pat all yourself on the shoulder. Job well done. Job well done. So if you all become the victims of a home invasion and they kill your family member, and then you hear that the person who did it was on bail for murder, call Kamala. Go to a UNC crime talk meeting and tell her, leader, I want to thank you that my family member was murdered by someone who was out on bail. Someone who got out on bail for murder 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, thanks to Jayanti and Anand. I want you to convey to them my sincerest thanks that my family has now had to go through the trauma of a murder because of them creating a situation where murderers or murder accused can now get bail. But they're singing a different song. But when it reach home, just remember that some of them, the rap sheet, as I keep saying, longer than the UNC's list of transgressions against the country of Trinidad and Tobago. But Jayanti saying they deserve bail. Why? Because when you deny them bail, you have single parent homes. They are not able to work to generate an income to support their families. What work were they doing, Jayanti? What work they doing? Honest work? Jayanti? That's how they're supporting their families? And these men, are they the examples that you want to set for these young children? But she's saying that. That is what you're supposed to do. Get them bail. Because they're entitled to apply for bail. And then want to hit us nonsense is left to the judicial officer to decide. Well, always best lawyers, and you all know the best arguments to put forward. Today, the Prasad, the food king, the family must be counting their lucky stars that the matriarch and patriarch are still with them. But it could have easily gone the other way, thanks to Jayanti and Anand and other UNC attorneys. The man who masterminded that heist, right, had been in jail for 13 years on a murder charge. And just a few weeks after he came out, went and commit this crime. Well, he's pushing up daisies today, fortunately. But too often we keep hearing bail, bail, bail. I'm talking chopping is what put ankle bracelets on them, and that will solve the problem, right? Yeah, because all you figure this is the US. The response time. Every occasion you all will come and meet bracelet minus ankle. But that's supposed to solve it. And hear them. It's because the ankle bracelet is inferior. Yeah, the ankle bracelet. Police get a signal, ankle bracelet being tampered with. What does the police do? They pick up the phone and call in the man. Phone ringing, no answer. He answer, but call him back in 5 minutes now. He probably in the toilet. Call him again, no answer. Like maybe leave the phone inside and he outside. Call him again. Going on here, right? Look, wait. See where the bracelet is. Let me go and see. Time only reached, man long gone. This is not the US. All right? Somebody let Janty and them know that from a place. But that's their solutions to crime. Right? Give everybody gun and handouts. Creating jobs. That's all they're doing. We want to create more employees. Well, this government is about creating employers. So please, you all share. Please go on the websites of these ministries, particularly the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. There are grants. $20 million has been allocated for grants of up to $20,000 for 1,000 persons to become business owners. You are not just getting a $20,000 grant, you are also getting technical support and assistance otherwise from the state. And if you need more than the $20,000, there are also resources in place through NEDCO for you to be able to access additional funding. So if you want to work for yourself, you can do that. The government has that in place. Dumb and Dumber will not tell you this. Enal Roberts will not tell you this. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Jolene John, Saddam Hussein, Dave Tanku, Rudal Munilal, Barry Padarat, and these others will not tell you this. It is not in their best interest to guide the young people to the opportunities that are there to move them away from crime. We need them to continue to kill themselves and kill each other for the next year and some until after 2025 general election. That is what they need. So they could keep talking about murder and murder. Point to note, based on an article that I read earlier on this morning, right, I saw this, they said this guy, they arrested this guy, the same Cayman 6 guy, arrested him for being a member of a gang and professing to be a member of a gang. And he's out on $40,000 bail. Thanks again to the United National Congress, because had they supported the bail with anti-gang legislation, Mr. Cayman 6 would not be behind bars, would be incarcerated. All right? But thanks to them, he's outside. And while they come in and talking about the Prime Minister should ban the Trinidad music and all of that, like is being done in other jurisdictions, the minute the Prime Minister or the government does that, you know what they're going to say? Watch out there. You see, I tell all they Rowley don't like black people. Them boys and them making the little money, singing their music and making the little money. And what, you have a problem with that? Come and ban the music. What is supposed to do now? What is supposed to do? But only rating it up. They're being banned in other countries, but coming to advocate the Prime Minister should ban it here. And then if he does that, we won't hear the end of that. Yeah, when he pressure in the black man, don't like black success at all. Watch how good them boys doing all their music when they go on YouTube. You see how much views them fellas have. But what Rowley want to come and ban it now just to oppress the black man. Because them fellas just singing what's going on in the ghetto. And they just singing the reality and Rowley ain't like that. Same people who come to tell you should ban it is the same people who will be promoting that stupidness. And you're going to hear them, but he ain't going to ban the Calypso and them with promote pushing race. He ain't going to ban that, but he come in to say he want to ban Trinidad music. Don't you think Prime Minister Rowley have it easy? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. PM, listen to Mrs. Rowley. You serve your time. If you feel you're ready to go and put up your foot and, pat your sheep on the head and whatever, you do what you have to do. You have a number of capable persons in the party who could take leadership, right? And yeah, but that's up to you, That's up to you. Right, so I think he was there last night. Well, I saw a picture. I'm not too sure if it was him. You do what you have to do, as Manu always says. March the X and bend corner. Forget them. broke no opposition, because if you go to listen to those clowns, nothing will get done. Absolutely nothing will get done in the country. So we look forward to the press conference this morning, hear what the Prime Minister has to say, and I'm sure all of the commentators will have a lot to say. All of them don't say, well, we are expecting nothing. His name Vishnu Raghunath and Gary Griffith and some of these others. We are expecting nothing. And I'm sure they can notice for the conference. Most probably noticed on his Facebook page with some dotish caption. Some stupid caption about, oh, he will be in the toilet or some kind of nonsense like that. Idiot. Today is Tuesday. He might talk about it on his Breaking Barriers program tomorrow night, but who cares to listen? Let me see here. Somebody says Paul Richards is also talking spit about the police program. I guess that's beyond the tape. I know Alexander yesterday, I heard him on the news saying that he was supposed to have a meeting with Ella Christopher yesterday. So he would to hear what the outcome would be. So I don't know if he was back on the program yesterday evening or what has happened. I haven't heard any updates. Perhaps those of you who look at right. So I see somebody's asking about EMBD. I know Brian, I did promise to speak on that, but it's almost 8 o'clock. I need to open the lines. So I feel I might have to dedicate all of Thursday for that. I haven't had opportunity yet to listen to Rudal Munilao's press conference on Sunday. Where is this thing, boy? Where is this thing? Yes, I was also I wanted to mention just now that based on the article that I was reading this morning, the current murder rate for the year stands at 45. For the same period last year, we were at 72 murders. We are at 45. So that's 27 murders less than where we were last year. But nobody talking about that. The media not highlighting that. Gary ain't talking about that. That's nothing to praise the commissioner for. Over 30% decline in the murders year to date as compared to last year. Then 45 versus 72. We're going to talk about that. How we can do that? You can't do that. Can't make Ula look good. Anyway. So PF Cutters, forgive me. I will dedicate Thursday to EMBD. Right? Yes, Indira Ramprasad is also the next commentator. So we will deal with EMBD on Thursday morning, God's willing. Yeah. So let me just get this here. Let me set this up. Turn this on, turn this off. Connect this. Right, 7701763. Yes, PF Cutters. They wouldn't talk about that because Ula must go. That's correct. Ula must go. But we here will discuss it. We will talk about it and we will highlight it, right? Hello, good morning. Hello?
They are confused party and denial. Kamala say one thing, doing something else. Get your act together. They so want to lie, right? They so want to lie. They expose themselves because they never know what they're doing. Imagine you have in the same house, okay? You don't know in your own household. How can they run a nation if they are so confused? Isn't that madness? I think there was an Indian guy that Kamala brought down from India. Wasn't he on some kind of murder charge? Remember that? I think he hit somebody and he killed a person. So you brought a man who's a murderer in India, you know that? You're talking about Trinidad music, which you praised Kamala. And you have Jolene John about talking it. Prime Minister would have called dictator. Look what he's doing. He banned the music. He don't like we know. He's a pressing talent. Jolene, the wig on your head, killing your brain cell. You and Kamla get together and know what you're doing. As for G Minor, right? In 2013, he was no minor. So he didn't have a voice now. Now he's G Minor, he could sing tune. Confused, senile people in a rocking chair, soaking false teeth, sapping the knee, and drinking porridge to a straw. Tom, have a good day. Bye-bye later.
You too. Thank you. 29 Super C says, Ula staying right there. She has a better record than Gigi. 7 out of 8 articles. Yep, indeed. And now, well, I saw he was attacking that, and some of them from the UNC camp also attacking, stating that the government paid the Guardian to come up with that, with those statistics to make Ula look good. Deborah says, Queen Zessa, Princess Swani, not coming back ever. Good morning to Mother Tuna Puna. 7701763. Like everybody went PNM Red Fed last night, they tired this morning. 7701763. What my usual callers? Jenny, Eric, Mr. Chance. Good morning.
Dominic, how you doing, brother?
I am good. I am good.
Well, I take a little rest because I was at the Calypso Fiesta. So I didn't make the PNM Fed.
Right.
It was really great. And, you know, there's where I want to go. I want to talk about the attempt by the UNC to malign, undermine, and to create anxieties and fears over Carnival and their failure up to this point in time to achieve that. But before I do so, I want to give you full endorsement with respect to the statement